Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy. My name is Neelam Malkani, and I'm going to be your educator and facilitator for CAT 2020 and other management exams. So, CAT is round the corner, and you must be leaving no stone unturned in preparing as well as getting ready for the D-Day. Last week, we discussed all the passages which appeared in CAT 19, and we also discussed some phrases and words and terms which appeared in those passages. Today, I'm going to take one more passage, but this time I'm going to take the passage from CAT 18. With that, I will have the discussion on the phrases and some words which will appear in this passage, as well as some words which are associated with economics. So, if there is a passage based on economics, you will be able to gather the meaning as well as understand the passage well. Alright, so that is what is today's session's agenda. Before that, let me give you a brief introduction of myself. My name is Neelam Ma'am. I possess around 12 years of experience of test preparation industry and have trained students of CAT, GRE, GMAT, SAT and IIMs and TOEFL. I also had the opportunity to design and set assessment papers of English and reasoning for different competitive exams. This I did for professional bodies and government bodies of various states. My areas of expertise have been critical reasoning and English. I also served as an examiner of English for an international organization. Recently, I have authored a comprehensive book of English for the preparation of competitive exams. The book is written in both Hindi and English. The video is brought to you by Unacademy, India's largest online learning portal for the preparation of competitive exams. Let me take you to its portal and tell you how you can be part of this. So the first step is going to be the downloading of Unacademy Learning app. You have to go in the Play Store of your mobile phone and you have to download Unacademy Learning app. You will be shown two apps. One is for educators, one is for learners. So you will have to download this learning app. After filling in all the details, you will be shown 3 categories of courses plus free courses, special classes. Once you download this app, you will be able to access all the courses which are available as free courses and special classes. But if you want to attend classes for CAT, you will have to go in the plus category, and for that you will have to subscribe to the product. Once you go in the subscription, you will be shown all the features that you will be availing after subscribing. Features such as 30 hours of live sessions every day. As per your availability, as per your convenience, you can choose the time of your class. The sessions are live and they are delivered by 40 plus top educators of India. These educators have extensive experience of mentoring and guiding students in their respective domains. These educators have also been taking these exams in order to understand the real pulse of these exams. The courses which are delivered by these top educators are well structured, well designed, having fine balance of conceptual clarity and testing so that you are prepared for the exam and test. Every month you see a new course is launched to cater to a specific course structure. Once you get satisfied with all these features, you can go and see which subscription model suits you. As per your plan of the preparation of this exam, you can choose the different models. You can choose one of the models from these different models of subscription which have been designed by Unacademy for you. If you are going for this year CAT, you can go for 1 month's subscription. That is going to prepare you for the exams which are going to happen in December and January. If you want to go for CAT 2021, you can go for 1 year's subscription. Alright, so this is the freedom you enjoy. As per your preparation plan, you can choose the subscription. If you want to avail further 10% discount, you have to type referral code Neelam. If you type this code, you will be able to avail 10% further discount on whichever model of subscription you choose. Alright? So enough about Unacademy. Let's start with today's session and discuss CAT 18 passage. As I did last week and the week before as well, whenever I discussed passages, I gave you the source of that passage so that you have an idea from where these passages are taken by the examiners. So which sources are referred to by examiners to set the papers of CAT. So as we have seen, a couple of international newspapers have come out as the strong source for these passages. The examiners have relied heavily on these international newspapers, the Guardian, the New York Times, the Atlantic. This article, this passage was also taken from one of the articles which was published in 2006, one of the articles which published in the New York Times. Right? So the article was on the conservation of elephants, and it was a long article, and the truncated form of this article was given at the passage. All right, so not the comprehensive article, but examiner picked some parts of the passage, some parts of the article to give as the passage. All right, so if you read this article, you will have a clear idea about the whole thing. So as I have been saying, when I took a session for CAT strategy for this year as well, as and when you have some time to recreate yourself, to chill out, or maybe just to calm your nerves because you don't want to study, just go through these magazines or articles, right? So pick up any international newspaper from the Atlantic, the Washington Times, or the New York Times, or Washington Post, or the Atlantic, these newspapers, and read anything you want, right? Not for the purpose of preparing for CAT, but just to get familiar with the kind of style and the kind of articles and the kind of style these authors have in these articles, right? So that you won't have, you will have some idea about the kind of writing style which is there in these articles, all right? So please start reading these articles. Now, I'll give you 30 seconds to read. I have segregated this entire passage into 5 paragraphs as was there in the original paper as well. I'll give you 30 seconds to read the paragraph and then I'll explain you everything. So let's start. 30 seconds for this paragraph. Alright, I hope you read it. It's a very short paragraph. Now I'm going to read it out and I'll explain some parts of it which are important. Everybody pretty much agrees that the relationship between elephants and people has dramatically changed. So this is the topic sentence of this paragraph. This is going to talk about the change of relationship between elephants and humans. Says psychologist Gay, where for centuries humans and elephants lived in relatively peaceful coexistence, there is now hostility and violence. This is how it has changed dramatically. Earlier, it used to be a peaceful coexistence, now it's hostility. Now I use the term hostility because of the intentionality associated with it. Now author says, why I am using hostility? Because there is intentionality associated with it. Author explains that further. Both in the aggression of humans, at times the recently observed behavior of elephants. So he says, why I use this term? Because there is some intentionality involved, both in the behavior of humans, which has become very, very aggressive towards elephants. At times, elephants' behavior is also aggressive. at times, right? So largely human behavior is responsible, at times it is also elephant's behavior. All right, so first paragraph talks about the change of relationship between elephants and human and how it has changed. It was peaceful coexistence, now it is aggression and hostility, majorly on the part of human, but at times it also happens from elephants, right? So that's what the first paragraph is. Let's go through the second paragraph again, 30 seconds. All right, 30 seconds are over. Now, typically, elephant researchers have cited as a cause of aggression the high levels of testosterone in newly matured male elephants or the competition for land and resources between elephant and humans. Now, till this line, author cites the argument of elephant researchers. What they have cited for this reason? They have cited the high levels of testosterone, that's one reason. Second, there is a competition between humans and animals, elephants, for land and resources. So these two reasons have been cited by elephant researchers. But now here comes author's point of view. Earlier he was citing other researchers, now he comes with his point of view. But Bradshaw, the researcher who was cited earlier, the Bradshaw and several colleagues argue that today's elephant population are suffering from a form of chronic stress, a kind of species-wide trauma. Here comes author's main point. This paragraph can be captured by this entire line. This is what is the main argument, right? So the main researcher who has been cited in this whole passage is this lady, Bradshaw, right? Now, she says the chronic stress, a kind of species-wide trauma is the reason. The other two reasons which have been cited by elephant researchers are not as important as this is the important. This reason is decades of poaching and culling and habitat loss, they claim, have so disrupted the intricate web of familial and societal relation by which young elephants have traditionally been raised in the wild and by which established elephants herd are governed, that what we are now witnessing is nothing less than the precipitous collapse of elephant culture. Now she explains this idea further. So what is trauma? Why is this species-wide trauma? The trauma is because habitat loss has happened. And because of this habitat loss, the familial relationship, the close affinity which exists between family members of elephants is disintegrating, is breaking up. The familial and societal relationship by which young elephants have traditionally been raised in the wild. This is how the young elephants were raised. This is how they were brought up, and by which established elephants herds were governed, the familial relationship, the societal relationship. This is how the young elephants were raised, and this is how the old and established groups were governed, and by which, and that we are now witnessing is nothing less than a precipitous dangerous. What we are witnessing is a dangerous collapse of elephant culture. So their culture used to be close ties between familial group, right? So they were very, very close. There was an intricate bond between elephants, but now it is integrating because of habitat loss. So this is the relation, this is the reason that has been cited by the researcher, right? And this is the main argument. The chronic stress, a kind of species-wide trauma. Entire species is facing this trauma. Third paragraph. 30 seconds. Now, elephants, when left to their own devices, are profoundly social creatures, right? When they are left on their own, when there is no intervention, they are profoundly social creature. Profoundly is deeply, right? So they are actually social creature. They want to be with their herd. They want to be with their family members. Young elephants are raised within an extended multi-tiered network of doting female. Doting is loving, affectionate, a person who gives you a lot of affection and love. So doting female caregivers that include the birth mother, grandmother, aunt and friends, right? So these are the people who raise a young elephant, right? So these doting female members of the community raise a young elephant. This used to be the culture. These relations are maintained over a lifespan as long as 70 years. So these relationships continue for 70 years until a young baby is 70-year-old. These relationships are maintained. Studies of established herds have shown that young elephants stay within 50 feet of their mother for nearly all of their first 8 years of life, right? So until they are 8 years, they are in the close vicinity of their mother. So they live very close by their mother. After which young females are socialized into the matriarchal network. So after 8 years, the female elephants are encouraged to socialize into matriarchal network, means other female network, other motherly figures network, while young male go off for a time into an all-male social group before coming back into the fold as mature adults. While the male, after 8 years of age, male elephants they go off in the male group, and once they get mature, they come off in the fold, right? So this whole paragraph talks about the process. So last paragraph was talking about how that the reason is not testosterone level or something else. The reason is species-wide trauma. Why this trauma is happening? Because there is a habitat loss. And then author is talking about what is the culture in an elephant society. And this is the culture of their society. Very close relationship, and young elephants are raised by the doting, loving, and female caregivers of their families, right? Fourth paragraph, again, 30 seconds. Alright, I gave you 40 seconds to read this paragraph because this paragraph is long. This fabric of elephant society, this fabric was explained in the last paragraph. This fabric of elephant society, where there is a close affinity and there is strong bonding between elephant society, Bradshaw and her colleagues demonstrate, has effectively been frayed. So frayed, I hope you understand, when your clothes fray, they are torn apart, right? So being frayed, that means the society is disintegrating by years of habitat loss. So because of habitat loss, this is happening. Because of poaching by human, this is happening, along with systematic culling by government agencies to control elephant numbers and translocation of herds to different habitats. So these are different reasons which are largely governed and done by human interventions, right? So poaching, culling by government, culling is killing, right? Killing of animals because they are huge in number. Translocation, they are located to different locations. They are transferred to different locations of herd of different habitat. So these are the reasons which has led to their fray, their disintegration. As a result of such social upheaval, social upheaval is huge ups and down, right? So upheaval is something which is turning something upside down. So upheaval, because of these changes, calves are now being born to and raised by ever younger and inexperienced mother. So earlier they were raised by affectionate female members of their society or their community. The female members who were doting, affectionate, and they were aunt, their grandmothers, somebody who was experienced to raise young children. But now these children are being raised by young and inexperienced mothers, young orphaned elephants. Meanwhile, that have witnessed the death of a parent at the hands of a poacher are coming to of an age in the absence of the supports that defines traditional elephant's life. Now that elephant who has lost one of his parents, who has seen the death of his parent by poachers, he has to experience the trauma because he's not going to enjoy the kind of childhood that his society, the members of his society used to have. The loss of elephant elders, says Bradshaw, and the traumatic experience of witnessing the massacre of their family impairs, it affects normal brain and behavior of development in young elephants. Two major causes which is actually impacting these young elephants. One, the loss of elephant elders, and the traumatic experience of witnessing the massacre of their family. Right? So it's actually very moving. I mean, the way this paragraph has been written, the way author has worded this paragraph, has actually trying to evoke emotions in the reader. That this can actually impact elephant so hugely, so profoundly, right? So since they have seen their elders dying, since they have seen some of the elder members of their family being butchered, being poached by the poachers, they live in trauma, and that trauma is actually going to influence their entire life. All right. So this is what this paragraph says. Let's last paragraph quickly. All right. Last paragraph. I gave you enough time to read it. I hope you assimilate the message. When Bradshaw and her colleague describe would seem to be an extreme form of anthropocentric conjecture, तो ऐसा लगता कि ये पूरी तरह से ह्यूमन पे सेंटर्ड कंजेक्चर है अगर if the evidence that they have compiled from various elephant researchers weren't so compelling. So author agrees with the researcher. Author agrees with the evidence which has been given by the researcher, right? So ऐसा लगता कि ये anthropocentric is human centric conjecture है अगर इतना कंपेलिंग एविडेंस रिसर्चर ने नहीं दिया होता. The elephants of decimated herds, decimate is to destroy. So the herd of elephant which has been destroyed, जो उसके elephants हैं, especially orphans, those who have lost their parents, who have watched the death of their parents and elders from poaching and culling, these elephants exhibit behavior typically associated with post-traumatic stress disorder and other trauma-related disorder in human. They exhibit the pattern which is similar to the pattern which is displayed by humans who have faced such traumatic experience. So this is where author tries to draw an analogy between the behavior of animals and the behavior of humans. Abnormal startle response, unpredictable asocial behavior, inattentive mothering, and hyperaggression. So the same things which are exhibited by young Animals or young elephants are exhibited by humans when they have these similar experiences. According to Bradshaw, elephants are suffering and behaving in the same ways that we recognize in ourselves as a result of violence. So if violence is meted out with human being, and if a human being is orphaned, sees his parents lost, the same response that he has is exhibited by elephants. Except perhaps for a few specific features. Brain organization and early development of elephants and humans are extremely similar. So, if you leave apart some specific features, two features are extremely similar. Brain organization, the way our brain is organized in the early development, right? As it affects elephant, so it does brain. So it does human being, right? So this paragraph comes with the conclusion of drawing a similarity between human and elephants, right? So the traumatic experience which affects an elephant, it also affects a human being, and the response is also same, right? So I hope we are clear with the whole intent of the passage. It started with the relationship change, the dramatic relationship which has changed. This paragraph talks about reason that has been cited by the researcher. The main reason is a kind of species-wide trauma. Why? And then this paragraph talks about the culture. What is the culture? How they are raised and what kind of environment they get in their community. And then what is happening to their community because of human intervention. So 2 to 3 reasons have been cited: systematic culling, habitat loss, poaching, and translocation of herds to different habitat. And then what is happening. And this paragraph then draws similarity between human and elephant. Alright, I hope now we can address the questions easily. Look at the first question. The question is, the passage makes all of the following claims except. Now, if we have read the passage thoroughly, you can easily address the question, because this question will require you to have a thorough understanding of an entire passage. Except means you have to be clear with all the sentences. Then only you will be able to figure out which sentence is not your answer. Now look at first sentence. The first option, the elephant response to deeply disturbing experiences is similar to that of humans, right? So last paragraph, we talked about this, that the responses are same. 4-5 responses which have been exhibited by these elephants are same in human, right? So A is not the answer because this is one of the claims. Human actions such as poaching, culling have created stressful conditions for elephant communities. Yes, we read that. That was explicitly stated in one of the parts of the passage. Elephants establish extended and enduring familial relationship as do humans. Extended, if you remember, friends, grandmother, and there was one more. Multi-tiered network of doting female caregivers include the birth mother, the grandmother, aunts, and friends. So extended, yes, and enduring, yes, because it lasts for as many as 70 years, right? So it is enduring. Enduring means lasting for a long time. So elephant establish extended, yes, it extends to different people, and enduring. So that is also one of the claims which is justified. Fourth, elephant mothers are evolving newer ways of rearing their calves to adapt to emerging threats. This is not the claim which has been justified in the paragraph or in the passage anywhere. Author has not mentioned anything about their coping mechanism to deal with this traumatic experience. What ways they have come up with to deal with this traumatic experience, that has not been discussed, right? So that is what is your answer. All right. Question number 2, which of the following statements best expresses the overall argument of this passage, right? Now, overall argument, when author is asking you to find out the overall argument, it is asking you nothing but to find out the main idea, the central theme. What is it that this paragraph revolves around, right? So the central theme, main idea, however you phrase it, you have to understand what this entire passage focuses on, right? I hope we are clear with that. So let's go through option. First, elephants, like the humans they are in conflict with, are profoundly social creature. Fine, yes, that is what is stated in one of the paragraphs. They are also social. They are profoundly social. If they are left on their own devices, this is what the statement was. But is this the main idea? The main idea, if this had been the main idea, the passage would have given you the evidence to support that they are profoundly social creature. But actually, this paragraph is about the changed relationship and why this relationship has changed, right? And what is affecting, what has been the prime reason behind this whole change that has been given by the researcher. So A is definitely there in the passage, but that's not your main idea. So don't get confused by the statement which is supported by the passage. See what question is asking you to do. Question is asking you to do to see what is the main argument of the paragraph or the passage. This is not the main argument. This is just supporting detail. The relationship between elephants and humans has changed from one of coexistence to one of hostility. Again, same thing. Very first paragraph talks about this thing only, but is it the central theme? Is it what the paragraph is all about? No. This your paragraph starts with, and you may have this compulsion to choose this statement as your answer because you have studied that main idea is there in the first paragraph. So this is not the main idea. Sometimes author gives your main idea in the second paragraph. It develops into second paragraph, right? So with the progression of idea, with the progression of thought, author talks about his main idea in the second paragraph. All right, so don't be in this illusion all the time that your main idea will be there in the first paragraph. This sentence is there in the first paragraph, and that is why this has been given as one of the options. But is the passage about this only? No. Third, the brain organization and early development of elephants and humans are extremely similar. Same way, last paragraph, last line. Except few features, these two things are very similar in humans and elephants. But is that the main idea? The moot question is this the focus of entire passage? All these are details. One, first, second, and three, all these are details which are actually given to support one point. That point is fourth. Recent elephant behavior could be understood as a form of species-wide trauma-related response. This is the main idea. First is supporting this. Why they are facing this trauma? Because they are extremely social creatures, and that's why they have been deeply affected by the loss of their parents, by the loss of their family members. First is supporting detail. Second, the relationship between elephant and human has changed from one of coexistence to one of hostility. Yes, because human is also responsible because of this trauma, because of poaching, because of culling, and because of habitat loss. So human is actually responsible for this trauma. That is why elephants are reacting. Third, so second is the supporting detail. Third, the brain organization and early development of elephants and humans are extremely similar. That's also your supporting detail. Because author wants to evoke your compassion towards elephant's trauma, right? And that is why she's trying to draw some similarity, that as you feel agonized, as you feel traumatized after the parents' loss, so do elephants. So if you understand your pain, you possibly will have some understanding of their pain. And that is why she gives you this, this analogy. Third. The third is also a supporting detail. All three supporting details are supporting one main idea, that is four. Right? So don't get carried away by the statement which is clearly given in the passage. right? That is not your answer. The answer is something which answers the option which answers the question is your answer, not something which is clearly given in the passage. All right. Question number 3. Which of the following measures is Bradshaw most likely to support to address the problem of elephant aggression? Okay, fine. So the question here is asking, now, very clearly in the first paragraph only, author clearly stated that elephants are getting aggressive and hostility. This relationship is from coexistence to hostility, right? So most likely, that means which of these measures, which of these steps is most likely to be taken by the researcher to address the problem of aggression, elephant aggression, right? Now this is an application based question, because after understanding the author's point of view and the kind of line of argument she has put up in the passage, you have to understand what she will support further, what she is going to endorse further. If she has to say anything about addressing the problem of elephant aggression, which has not been stated in the paragraph, what would she say, or what her opinion would be about that? So, application, what you have understood from the passage, now apply it in a different circumstances, right? As I have been saying, these questions have been coming in CAT now. One of the questions out of 5 and 4 will test your application. So now, since we have understood from third and fourth paragraph that author is extremely compassionate, and passionately she is trying to evoke the reader's emotion that elephant's trauma is just like your trauma. It's no different than your trauma. As you feel bereaved, you feel traumatic after your parents' loss, so do elephants, right? As you feel painful after you lose your habitat, so will an elephant, right? So that's how she's trying to evoke your emotions, right? So since we have understood this idea of the author, let's try to address the question. Funding of more studies to better understand the impact of testosterone on male elephant aggression. Only male elephant aggression. So that's very specific. Second, nowhere in the passage has she made any claims or has she made any statement about getting more and more funding, or she hasn't talked about the lack of funding for elephant research, right? Out of scope, out of question, eliminated. Second, studying the impact of isolating elephant calves on their early brain development, behavior and aggression. Only early brain development, whereas the question is talking about the problem of elephant aggression. Elephant calves, that means the baby elephants, right? So here possibly this is not going to address the problem. Second, it is very limited and selective. Second is also eliminated. The development of treatment programs for elephants drawing on insight gained from treatment post-traumatic stress disorder in humans. Let's hold it, because if she is very sure and certain about the similarity of post-trauma behavior of elephants and children, and she finds extreme similarities between the behavior, possibly this is something that she would like to address, right? Or she would like to propose. Fourth, increased funding for research into the similarity of humans and other animals drawing on inside brain for human and elephant similarities. She hasn't talked about any other animal research, right? So that's also out of scope. The third is the answer. I hope you are convinced that third is the answer, because she would likely agree with something which is going to discuss the possibility of human traumatic experience and elephant traumatic experience similarity, because she was of the opinion in the last paragraph that there is a huge similarity, and in terms of two things, they are very similar: earlier brain development and post-traumatic experiences. So the way human are healed after facing such traumatic experience, the way they recuperate from these experiences will also work for elephants. So if she's working for addressing the problem of elephant aggression, she would like to do something which has worked for humans. Alright, so that is what is third, and that is why third is the answer. Question number 4. In paragraph 4, the phrase, the fabric of elephant society has effectively been frayed by. I'll take you to the 4th paragraph in order to understand the very first line. The fabric of elephant society has effectively been frayed, torn apart by years of habitat loss and poaching, along with systematic culling by government agencies to control elephant numbers and translocations of herds to different habitats. So these are the reasons which have led to the fabric of elephant society getting frayed. The fabric, so it's an analogy, right? So the fabric which was cohesive, which was tight, and which was making all of them united, has been frayed, has disintegrated their society. And the actions are habitat loss, poaching, culling, government intervention, all by human. First, an accurate description of the condition of elephant herds today. Alright, so why has he used this phrase? So this has to do something with human society, a human intervention, human action. This is not the answer. Second, a metaphor for the effect of human activity on elephant community, because it has been frayed by, so, human society, right? And it's a metaphor. I told you, like, it's a fabric. So a fabric of the elephant community has been frayed. So it is used as a metaphor. Third, an exaggeration aimed at bolstering Bedshaw's claim. It's not an exaggerated statement. It's something that she feels passionately about, and that's why she has taken the use of this metaphor. An ode to the fragility of elephant society today. Out of scope, right? So here, the fabric is a metaphor which is actually talking about the human activity. Because of these 3-4 elements, 3-4 reasons which have led to the tearing apart of this fabric, this metaphor has been used. Question number 5. In the first paragraph, she uses the term violence to describe the recent change in human-elephant relationship, because according to him, elephant herds and their habitat have been systematically destroyed by humans. Now, if you remember, let me take you to the very first paragraph. Though we read it very carefully, nonetheless, let's have another read. Where for centuries, humans and elephants lived in relatively peaceful coexistence, there is now hostility, violence. Now I use the term violence because of the intentionality associated with it, both in the aggression of humans and at times the recently observed behavior of elephants. So this is what she meant. Intentionality. It is done on purpose by humans and at times recently observed behavior of elephants. Now let's go back to the question and look at the options. Second, human-elephant interactions have changed their character over time. Human and elephant interactions have changed their character over time. Yes, from peaceful coexistence to hostility, it has changed dramatically. But why this word has been used by the author? That is what the question is. Second is not answering that question. Third, both humans and elephants have killed members of each other's species. And fourth, there is a purposefulness in a human and elephant aggression towards each other. Purposefulness, intentionality. The word has been used in the first paragraph. I'm using this word violence because there is an intentionality. And that is what makes answer 4 the correct answer. Right? Alright, so with that we come to the end of today's passage. That was CAT 18 passage, and there were 5 questions. So if you have this depth of understanding of the passage, questions are going to be doing questions, and finding answer of these questions is going to be no barrier for you, right? As long as you have a thorough read, as long as you are confident about your understanding of the passage and your understanding of the passage is correct, you will not have any problem in fetching your answers. Alright, now let's discuss some words and phrases very quickly. I hope I gave you the explanation while I was explaining the paragraph itself. Nonetheless, let's just look at them very quickly. Coexistence, I hope you understand what coexist means. So, co-living together, coexistence, peaceful coexistence of different communities in India, right? So, coexist means co-living together. So trauma, I hope you understand, trauma is a very bad experience, usually something which involves a lot of agony and pain, right? Traumatic experience. And intricate is something which is complicated. So it's an intricate web of familial and societal relationships. So intricate is something which is tied very closely. Intricate is something which is tortuous, right? Something which is complicated. So intricate. Precipitous is something which is dangerous, precipitous state. So this virus has come to a precipitous state, or the infection has come to a precipitous state because of this weather change, right? So precipitous, that means it has become precarious or it has become dangerous. Multi-tiered network. Matriarchal, something which is ruled by female members or the females of society. So matriarchal society, matriarchal families where female are in the ruling position or female are in the governing position. So that is matriarchal. Patriarchal is just opposite. So India is a patriarchal society. We time and again claim that because families are known by the male members of the society or male members of the families. So that is patriarchal and matriarchal. Upheaval is kind of a thing which is tumultuous, something which is characterized by great up and down, right? So that is upheaval. So this was an upheaval for all of us. The pandemic created upheaval in all our lives, right? So it brought our life upside down, right? So it created a kind of uproar in our lives, professional lives as well as in personal lives. So upheaval is a great change, usually which is negative, not positive. Impair is affect, impairment. So that is visual impairment. So if you are diabetic or if you have sugar, high level of sugar, that is going to impair your vision. So impair your vision, that means it's going to negatively affect your vision, right? So impair is to affect something. Anthropocentric, whenever you have a development plan which is anthropocentric, that means you are talking about nothing but human. You're talking about the development of no one but human being, right? So anthropocentric policies, when we say that all the policies are anthropocentric, that means we are not talking about animals, we are not talking about other organisms which coexist with us, but we are talking about all things centered at human as a focal point of development. So anthropocentric, anthro is always for human, centric. So anthropocentric look of government, that means they are sidestepping other creatures, they are only focusing on human, right? Conjecture is guessing, it's a hunch. With any statement which is not based on verifiable data or analysis or research, rather just based on some hunch, guesswork. So that is conjecture. Okay, I don't think there is any other word which you would need explanation for. Let's start with some of the phrases that I picked up today. The words are associated, these phrases are associated with economics. I hope that is going to broaden your understanding of passages if they appear in some passages, and then you're not going to stumble upon these phrases, and these phrases are not going to impede your understanding of the passage, right? Let's begin with some phrases that I have compiled for today. Zero-sum game. Now this appeared in one of the passages in recent years, that's why I picked it up. So zero-sum game is a situation where if one party loses, the other party wins. So for someone's loss is someone's gain. So one man's triumph is another man's tragedy. So that's how you can understand zero-sum game. So cricket is a zero-sum game. Hardly can be a situation where both the teams win, right? One has to lose at the expenses of other person's victory, right? So that's how zero-sum game is there. In economics, zero-sum game can be applied. In politics, zero-sum game is there. A party loses, another party wins an election. So zero-sum game can include just 2 players or millions of participants. In financial market, Future and options are considered zero-sum game because the contract represents agreement between two parties. If one investor loses, then the wealth is transferred to another investor, right? So in that arena, you can understand how zero-sum game is applied. So zero-sum game is basically someone's losing, someone's winning, right? So both cannot be in a win-win situation. Both cannot be in gainful situation. One has to lose for one to gain. That is what is zero-sum game. Zero-sum game, zero-sum situation can be understood with this situation, right? Now, most transactions are non-zero-sum game because the end result can be beneficial to both parties. So here, you try to negotiate in a way. Sometimes you have negotiations with other parties to have non-zero-sum game so that both have some mutual benefits. You try to turn the situation into a non-zero-sum game. All right? And glass ceiling. A couple of times when any women, like recently when Kamala Harris became the Vice President of America, she was the running mate of Joe Biden in America. So a lot of articles claim that she has finally shattered the glass ceiling, which has existed in America for centuries. No woman has ever achieved this position. And in her iconic address, she said she may be the first woman, but she is not going to be the last woman to hold this position in America. Right? She actually opened the door for other American women to come and participate in politics. So glass ceiling is a kind of a barrier, invisible barrier, which exists for women for advancing in their career. So there is no explicit rule which prevents them from holding higher echelons in an organization or higher position in an organization, but there are unsaid rules. There is some tacit understanding between those people who are at the helm of affairs that a woman should not approach or a woman should not reach that position. So that kind of barrier which prevents women from touching the top position in a country, in a society, or in an organization is glass ceiling. So glass is transparent, right? So you cannot see that. So that ceiling actually does not exist, but that is right there. So the glass ceiling is a metaphor referred to an artificial barrier that prevents women and minorities. So this is also used for minorities. So you would see that when a black became the president of America. So that was also one of the historic moments in America when Barack Obama became the president, because he also shattered a glass ceiling. So a minority person did not reach that position ever in America. So for minority as well, when such barriers exist, which prevent them from advancing further in their career, that is also glass ceiling. So okay, I'll read out, and then they prevent women and minorities from being promoted to managerial and executive level positions within an organization. The phrase glass ceiling is used to describe the difficulties faced by women when trying to move to higher roles in a male-dominated hierarchy. Various reasons are given for the apparent glass ceiling women hit in many professions. Right? So Kiran Bedi, the first IPS of India, she apparently also faced this glass ceiling. She was not promoted to the highest top position in Delhi, and that's why she took the retirement, right? So that way you can understand that even such a powerful woman, such an iconic woman in India also had to face this male biasness in that sector, all right? So glass ceiling, a barrier for women and minority. Now there is a silver ceiling. So silver ceiling is again a kind of barrier only, now which exists for elder people. Now silver ceiling is the silver or grey hair that they represent, right? Represent an unspoken barrier to promote those people who are experienced or older, right? So a silver ceiling may exist because management believes older employees are not sufficiently innovative, or simply because they are too close to retirement to implement a long-term vision. So they have a kind of inherent bias for those people who are already above 50 or 60 because they feel they are not they don't have that much energy, or they are not as much productive as young people are, or they may not be as innovative as young generation may be. So because of this inherent bias, they do not want to give a lot of opportunities or advancement in their career to old people, right? So that is silver ceiling. Golden handshake. So you might have come across this often in newspaper, when a person who is given a golden handshake by his organization is given a severance package, huge package by an organization, because organization does not need that person anymore. A golden handshake is a stipulation in an employee's employment agreement which states that the employee will be provided a significant severance package if the employee loses their job. So if there is a restructuring in the organization, and if an employee leaves his job or is supposed to leave his job because of that change in the organization, he will be given this much package. Or if an old employee, an elder employee of the company is given golden handshake, that means company in a way is saying that his services are no longer needed, but he will be given enough money to survive and to make his expenses, to bear his expenses. So he's given a golden handshake, right? So he's given handshake, that means he's given a kind of a goodbye, but golden handshake because he's given enough money, he's supplied with enough money to survive his livelihood, right? So that is what is golden handshake. So at the time of retirement, just before retirement, if a person is reaching his retirement and there are still 4-5 years in his retirement, and a company recognizes that the person is no longer needed, then company can give him golden handshake. A lot of government employees are also given golden handshake by the government organizations. Fringe benefits are those benefits which you are given other than your basic salary and your basic remuneration. So other than the salary that you draw from your organization, the benefits that you enjoy are your fringe benefits. So there are core, at the core is your salary, at the core is your compensation which company bears. At the fringe are other expenses. Suppose you are given travel expenses, or you are given medical insurance, or you are given some gym membership, other benefits. So these are fringe benefits. So they are not they are not included in your package, but they are fringe benefits. So this is how the benefits, these fringe benefits can be understood. So fringe benefits are the additional benefits offered to an employee above the stated salary for the performance of a specific service, right? Okay, so laissez-faire is the word, it's a French word which actually means leave alone, right? So this is the policy which dictated LPG policy in India, right? So LPG, what happened in 1991? Liberalization, privatization and globalization. So what led to these three iconic words, these three spectacular words which opened India's market, was the policy or concept of laissez-faire, right? So as I said, it means leave alone. So this believes, this phrase believes, or this whole idea believes that when it comes to doing business, government has no role to play. Government should not intervene in economics. So when it comes to the economic activities of a country, government should not intervene. Government should not play any role. So the entire market should be left free and independent and should be left on its own. That is what is laissez-faire. And that is how we liberated our market and we adopted the policy of globalization. There was complete control of the government. There was huge intervention of government. We were hugely socialistic government or country, and 70% economy was governed, was regulated, or managed by government itself. But after that, 91, we opened the market and we became kind of, pseudo-capitalistic society now, or pseudo-capitalistic country. So because we adopted this policy of laissez-faire. So laissez-faire is an economic theory from 18th century that opposed any government intervention in business affairs. All right? Fine. So that was the last term for today. I'll pick up some more phrases and terms for economics, because that's the subject that most of you find very difficult to understand, as well as to answer the questions of. Some of you who are from commerce background, these words must be familiar for all of you, but those of you who come from engineering background, I hope they could be helped with this presentation today. I'll come with one more passage of Cat 18 and some more phrases from economics tomorrow. All right, so stay tuned on this channel for my more sessions, and do tell me your thoughts and opinion about this session, as well as about some topics that you want me to cover before Cat 2020. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.